I'm going to show you a quick tutorial on how to use these mats from Wilton. I believe they're Wilton. Last time I did these vines on the flowers and the leaves and I believe the pearl. So this time I'm going to show you what else they can make. There's a few flowers, like a rose, whimsical leaves, traditional leaves, and little heart patterns that are just too cute. There's even a little bird on here, and I don't know if you'd call that a scroll or what, but some kind of an applique. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try to do a rose. Let's see how this one comes out. You're going to start with any color gum paste you want, anything you have handy, whatever color cake you're going to be doing. Doesn't really matter, totally up to you. You start with just a small ball. You know, make sure it's well kneaded. You don't really want any cracks coming out. I like to start in a ball, especially with bigger areas like this, and then just give it a smash like that. And it looks like a little bit, but believe me, it's going to go a long way. And it's always better to start off with too little and have to add to it rather than too much, and then you're completely overwhelmed and there's so much of it you don't know what to do and you don't know where your edges are. So with this, we are going to go ahead and add a little bit more, and I'm going to show you that it's okay to do that. You just stick it in there and just keep pressing down and it will all come together. You can always smooth out the back as much as you want, as you need it to be. If no one's going to see it anyway, then I really wouldn't worry about it. But if you want it to be perfectly level, then by all means take more time with it. Make sure it's level, and that way it won't look all funky on the cake and just have all this weird dimension to it. So just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to give you the gist of this. Okay, you can always go back and smooth it out with your finger. But let's pop it out and I'll show you. Here we have this really pretty rose. And it's not a 3D rose like a real rose, but it's definitely a 2D that will look really nice like on the side of the cake, or even on top of a cupcake on the whipped cream or frosting, whatever you choose to use. So that's the rose, and always make sure you clean the edges up as well. If there's anything jagged sticking out or you missed a spot, just go back with your finger and tap it down. Okay, so the next thing we could do is the little heart. I really like the little heart. I like to start off with like a snake type shape, just because it's easier to get it into these little grooves. And you could see on the applique how detailed it is, and we're going to be going around all that. Don't worry about it. It will all come together. You just have to have a little bit of patience with this, especially because these mats are so easy to get this stuff out of. It doesn't stick to it very well at all. So you don't have to worry about whatever you're making, whether it's a leaf, a flower, the pearl border. You don't have to worry about ever getting it out, because as you can see, I'm having trouble getting it to stay down. And I don't even think I used any cornstarch or anything, so I might have to put some in my fingers here to get it to stay off me and into the mold. So you just go in and push it down, keep on going, and if you need more, grab a little bit more, a little at a time, and just keep pushing it until you're happy. So keeping in mind trying to maintain where the edges are here, so that way you're not going back and cutting a lot off later. You want to do as much damage control, so to speak, as you possibly can starting off, so you won't have to go back afterwards and trim too much off. Okay, so once you get it down to where you're pretty happy with it, you like it and all that, you go ahead and just flip it over, see if it came out okay, and this one did. I try to keep a tool handy, something like this. These are needle nose tweezers, and I love them. I use them on everything. And this really helps to get in here on the outside. It doesn't really matter, you can use your finger, but when you have to get into smaller detailed spots like this, it's really easy to get in and just manipulate it and maneuver around in there. So that's the heart applique. I don't know if you could see that, but it's really pretty. I love it. The next thing we could do is we could work on a little bit of green, and I could show you some of these flowers on here. Some of them are typical, like if you're making like a real flower, real rose. Then other are whimsical, and it just depends on what look you're going for. Here we're going to do a basic one, and I'm going to pull a little piece off because I think there's too much in there. And I'm just mashing it down. Okay? You can see what I'm doing there. And then you can literally just pick it up with your finger. It's that easy. And anything extra that didn't blend in too well, or you didn't smooth it out too well the first time, you just go down and pat it down afterwards. And you have your traditional leaf. Okay? So that's that one. We'll go back to the blue mat and do one of these whimsical leaves that I think are really, really fun. We'll start over here and do this one here. And you can see I hardly put any cornstarch in these things at all, and they just lift out so nicely. Always make sure you wash it and dry it thoroughly. Make sure it's always clean when you start, because it makes a big difference, and you don't want to make anybody sick either. Okay, so I just pop that in, and like it with my fingers, I can just pull it right out. It's that easy. And here, on stuff like this, because there's so much dimension to it, you want to go in and really sculpt it a little bit and bring those little highlights out there. And that's what I'm doing here, is just kind of smoothing the edges and making it more defined. Okay, so that's a whimsical leaf, and I like that one a lot too. So what else can I show you? I think we can do this guy. I could show you a little thing on him. He's pretty fun. It's kind of like a nice little touch, and like I said before, I don't know if you call it a scroll or what it is, but it certainly is kind of a cute little decoration. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm rolling it out in this shape because it's got some really small pieces in there that you got to fit the stuff into, and the thinner you roll it, the easier it's going to be for you in the long run. So always start off small and add more to it if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to put it down at the bottom, just smash it in, and try to follow the contour of the mold and where it's going. And if you have to double back like I just folded it over, go for it. No one's going to know. Just you, and you don't even have to tell anybody if you don't want to. It's not a big deal. And what's so weird about this stuff is when you're working with these mats, it's so hard to find out or think about what it's going to look like when it comes out. But when you're done and you take it out and you flip it over and look at it, you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I think that's what I really, really enjoy about these. Because you can kind of see the impression on the mat, but you don't know until you actually make something and then pull it out. Because like right now, it doesn't look like anything. It looks weird. But when you flip it over and pull it out, here you have this nice, pretty little applique with a little piece of green in it. That was my mistake. But anyway, you just go through, same thing, and just kind of smooth the edges out, because there's nothing more tacky and just nasty. And it's my peeve, my total pet peeve in any of this stuff is when people don't take the time to smooth the edges off these things. Okay, so there's that. We could do probably one more, and I'll show you a quick little flower over here on the green mat. I think it's a really cute flower. There's a couple of flowers on here, a bigger and a smaller one, and these are kind of like, I guess, tropical flowers. That's kind of what they look like. I'm going to show you really quick too what happens. I've had people ask me if you try to cut these things off. I'm going to show you. It just, you can't. So I don't even bother with it. And that's why I say you start off with a little bit, add more to it if you need. You know, you could roll it. The rolling pit, I found it kind of works sometimes. I think it depends on the mood of your gum paste or your fondant, but you can use it. Put a lot of cornstarch or powdered sugar on it and you should be fine. Okay, so here's the tropical looking flower. Smooth the edges, and then in the middle you can see there's some detail there. You can always go back and hit it with some dust, some highlight dust, and it would look really, really pretty, like in a yellow or something like that. And you can also do it on the rose as well. You can definitely put some shading in there if you want to. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for today. We kind of went over some of these things in here, and I think we have this mat, both these mats, pretty well covered with all the different things you can do. And you can leave it sitting at an angle to dry, so it's kind of curved and giving it a little more of a 3D effect, especially on these little whimsical leaves. Or you can lay them flat, and then that way you could just put them on the side of a cake or something. But here's, you know, the little orange heart I did, and then the bigger red one, which I think came out really, really cute. I really like this one. And the bird. We didn't cover the bird, but there's really not much to say about the bird. It's just a bird. So anyway, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them down below, because I really, really do love hearing from you guys. Take care. Bye.